Thank you for joining us today for the virtual Sunday service with the Center for Creative Living. CCL, a charter of the Universal Church of the Master, has served and supported the spiritual needs of its community here in the Bay Area for over 20 years.
Good morning, welcome. It's got little shoes. If you want a cup of coffee, grab it now. Before we sit down.
Go for it. Yeah. Good morning. Morning, Clarky. You doing okay?
And we're so glad to have you all here. It looks like it's a beautiful morning out there. You know, I don't know how many of you kind of rushed to get here. We're lucky. We get here between 8:15, 8:30, 9:15, 9:30, 10, 10:15, 10:30. As long as we're here and Ed doesn't mind what time we come in, we're doing well. So we're now hitting at about 10:30, aren't we? Yeah, she's.
Yeah, pretty soon I'm going to have to be here at 10 for sure to learn how to set up. I see ladies in the kitchen.
Getting coffee.
Getting coffee, yeah. That's great.
Getting cold. Oh, you're sure?
Okay.
Good morning, Sherry.
Morning, Sherry. Good morning.
Go on up there.
Get up
there.
I'll sit right here. There you go, perfect. By the door. Yes. In case I can make a quick. No picking. And you're bored tonight.
Today you received two pieces of paper with one is the program and another is a prayer. And we're going to all do the prayer together at the end. So I want you to make it so it's available. In other words, if you didn't grab a program, do. And particularly, I want you to be able to read it. You know, I live in a wonderful world. Okay, it is our prayer. And there's so many things going on in the world that I want you all to just take a nice deep breath. Just one more time. Close your eyes and just take a nice centering breath. Breathe in and then put your feet flat on the floor. Figure you're in a whole different world here, where it's peaceful, kind, loving, and supportive. And when you do that, just feel that energy running through you. Peaceful, kind, loving, and supportive. We have so many wonderful things happening. If you can look beyond the negative, just look at the beautiful day. There's people in the world that's snowing, or they're having hurricanes. Even people who are suffering from earthquakes. And right now, everything atmospherically is great here. Now, sometimes the people do things you don't like. And I want to tell you that I've been doing a lot of readings. Lonnie and I do psychic readings if anyone's interested. And last week I didn't want to say 8 anyway. But as I'm doing them, I was talking about forgiveness and acceptance. And I kept saying, forgive people and then accept them for who they truly are. And for some reason, people say, but they did da-da-da-da-da-da, but you don't understand. And one lady said, you don't understand. Before I met my husband, he had a girlfriend and he never told me about her. Okay. And as my spirit guide says, when you feel that you're going to tell somebody what they can do, he said, what do you think that is? And he said, it's ownership. You feel you own that person. And you know what ownership of another person is called? Slavery. Okay, think about that. Everybody who says, oh my gosh, how could people put somebody in a place where they were telling them what to do and enslave them? Well, you do the same thing in relationships. They can't do that, and they can't do this, and they can't do that. Find a way to be accepted. Just accept people for just the way they are. And then I get, well, but you wouldn't, I have. I can honestly say, I don't have anybody in my life I don't like. And you remember, I used to always say, there's only one person I don't like, and I got rid of that. I didn't get rid of the person, no. I know I'm powerful, but that's not what I was doing. I just went, I've got to realize that this is something that person did. I didn't do anything they did. So I'm just going to accept that and just forgive them. Okay. This is part of my introduction time because we've got someone doing meditation for us this morning, and that's our Reverend Dr. Ayleen Augustine, the person who is the star of Off-Broadway. We're so glad you're here this morning, and you can lead us into a guided meditation or a regular meditation, however you want to do it, okay?
Well, okay.
Now I got to figure out.
I'll have one figured out by the time I get to there.
Okay. We gave her at least 5 minutes notice.
Yeah, I think that was fun.
And I'm going to, as soon as I feel like I should say beep, beep, beep.
Back up the truck.
You got plenty of room there?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And, you know, as Dottie said, it's been a really, really challenging time. And sometimes it's hard to find those places where we are able to, you know, see that positive side of the world, to see that positive side of humanity. Because unfortunately, the negative side gets most of the press. That's what, well, I used to say that's what sells newspapers, but who buys newspapers anymore? So the idea that we can, you know, when we still our minds, when we still our spirits, we can see those things. So what I'd like everyone to do is take a nice deep breath in and just let it out. Close your eyes. Feel your weight on the chair. Just feel that connection. Think of that chair holding you up. You know, it's not doing anything in particular. All it's doing is holding you. And yet right now, it's taking care of you. And as you take whatever position is most comfortable for you, just take another nice deep breath in and let it out. What I'd like you to do is picture yourself inside of a museum, yet all the frames are blank. Everything that you see is just a blank frame. And walk up to one of those frames. Maybe it's ornate, maybe it's very modern. Maybe it reminds you of a frame that was in a favorite grandparent's house. But I want you to look at that blank slate and allow your mind to create a picture in it. Maybe it's a moment where you felt your proudest, or maybe it was a moment where you experienced pain and hurt. But whatever it is, whatever picture starts to form, allow it to form, not judging it or yourself. And when that image feels as complete as it seems to be, watch it become a snapshot. And you take that little snapshot and you take it in your hand. And as you walk to another frame and you see that blank slate, you see another image forming, maybe of someone who made a difference in your life. Maybe it was someone who, when you needed it most, they told you they believed in you. Or maybe it was someone who said something hurtful. And as you watch the image of that person form, allow yourself to just view them as an image. No attachment. And when that image seems complete, it becomes a snapshot that you take in your hand. Go to the next frame. And as you see your image of an angel, what does it look like to you? How is it dressed? Maybe it's a total stranger who did something kind for you. Maybe it is a full angel with wings and flowing robes. Or maybe it's yourself. Maybe it's a favored pet who was your guardian and watched over you and was with you when you needed them most. And as that image becomes as complete as you can make it, that becomes a snapshot. And as you go from picture to picture and frame to frame, and you fill it with parts of yourself, parts of your life, moments of your life that made a difference, each one becomes a snapshot that you take with you. Now as you walk through this museum and you look around and you notice that each frame is now filling with the highs and lows of your life, and as you look at each picture, know that it is a snapshot. It is a moment. And as you look at each one of those pictures, you relive that moment for however good or bad it was. And you know that everyone has changed you. Every moment gave you a gift. And as you look down at the collection of snapshots in your hand, each of those moments, each of those people, each of those events, each of those places, you look down and you start noticing that the image in your hand becomes a gift. You picture the moment that you were challenged the most, and then you see the image in your hand of how strong you became. Picture yourself how strong. You look at the image of the one who inspired you most, the one who believed in you, and you see yourself through their eyes. You see yourself being proud of yourself. And as you walk to the center of the museum, you see a pedestal and a huge lump of marble. And as you look at it, pieces of the marble start falling away, and you see yourself. You see yourself as a work of art. You see that self as everything that you have become, all you have overcome, everything that you grew from, every challenge you overcame, every heartache you endured. You see the image of yourself walking your talk, and you also see the times when you had to crawl it. You see yourself as you are, for the amazing gift you are. And when you look at that statue as it stands proudly and tall, it fills the room. And once it is filled and it seems complete, and you see yourself for both your light and your shadow, for your strength and your false or your failings, the false image of what you think you need to be falls away, and you see that pure being represented, where you are enough, where you are beautiful, where you are the work of art. And then you take a snapshot, because that is a moment. And you know that there are more things that you are going to experience, and that's okay. You look down and you see an entire wing of the museum you hadn't noticed that is now filled with blank frames. And as you take another breath and let it out, you know that this is your life. This is your amazing, wonderful life. There is no other museum like yours, and never will be. You are the curator, and you are filled with the power of the one who gets to choose. And you feel another power filling you, that power of spirit, as it says, we've got this. And that amazing spirit places a brush in your hand and tells you, go create. Because whatever you create will be beautiful. So you take a breath in and let it out. And you gently leave the museum and all its beautiful art with all your gifts. And as you bring your awareness back to the chair you're sitting on, and this moment and this space, allow yourself to remember that you hold the brush in your hand. And imagine what it is that you are going to paint today.
I'd like you all to open your eyes, come back to the room. I have a very exciting announcement that I forgot to make, and that is that our wonderful Chris Peters and I were talking about the fact that we all need a little bit more exercise that's based in not only our body but in our spirit. And he is going to be here starting the 1st of April every morning, 15 minutes before we have church. And he is going to be giving us some exercises to do, being seated, that you can learn to do, which not only build up your body and your stamina, put more energy into your brain, but also helps you in your connection with Source.
Yay!
We are so excited to have that, and it's a way for you to just kind of wake up. I know some of you get here and you're still kind of going, oh, but I waited. Well, we're going to get you here and wake you up before we have church. How's that sound? Okay. And now, anybody have a birthday this last week or this week? Hey, okay. What color beads would you like, Amanda? I have purple, gold, red, blue, or green.
Blue.
Okay, there you go. And Reverend Ayleen's going to put them on you. There we go. And when people say, what are those beads for? You say, it's birthday beads. Okay, one little, this is your birthday song. It isn't very long. Yay! Thank you so much. It is so great to have you here, as always. And any other announcements that anybody else has? Yes. Eileen, thank you so much. That was wonderful. For many of you may know Reverend Tana Marie and her husband Robert. Robert is in hospice and he is very, very sick. And so I want you all to, whatever prayers you do during the day, make sure you put him in one of them. Also, as I said, I have a brother-in-law, Bill, that his body, they put him on a ventilator and he kept having strokes. And now he's up that his body is stroking twice an hour. And they decided that they're going to take him off the ventilator. There's not much left. And so...
Motorcycle accident.
Yeah, motorcycle accident. So please put your energy out to Eva's husband, Bill. When you're the eldest of 10 kids, you're going to hear Dottie talking about brothers and sisters a lot. But anyway, that's what's going on. So with Tana Marie and Bill, please put them in your heart and in your prayers. Now the big one, please put Ukraine in your prayers. However you see it, however you feel it, however you're connected. And when you do, just ask that there be a time in the future where there's going to be peace. And you can say, you want it now? Or you say, I know they've got some discussion to do at the bargaining table, but I want it to be in favor of Ukraine. However you want to pray, because each one of us comes from a different point of view. I was made very aware of that this morning when I was talking to Ed. That, when we look at what we think of war, but he and I have never been in a war. And I know when I think of Maria, who has been in a war zone, and what it was like. Anybody else that been in the service or in a country where there was war? Yes. And it defines you, even though you don't want it to. So for those people, learn a way that you can take whatever you gain, because sometimes we gain knowledge from a war. Take that knowledge and put it into your prayers of how to help the people of Ukraine survive. Because you too are survivors. And so you know how to survive and be here, okay? Well, we have a wonderful speaker today. We have our own associate pastor, Reverend Ann Corbin. And she's going to be talking about what's wrong with being different. Well, I hope there's nothing wrong with it. Every one of you in here is different.
Yay! Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, am I out of camera range?
Nope.
Am I still in camera range?
Yes.
I will scoot. And well, if Annie moves over more, excuse me, but we've got people on Zoom.
I shall move over more. I just,
Because you're a friend of the family?
what did you say? You are a friend of the family.
Thank you. Perfect. Brother Ed.
Sister Dottie?
Yeah.
That's mom to me. Good morning.
Good morning.
I wanted to start off and I'm going to sing this. A lot of you are going to say it sounds very familiar. And hopefully when we can all do group singing again, we can start opening our services with this again. I have been given permission from Sandra Willett Payne to share this song. May the sweet, sweet Holy Spirit fill this place. May the sweet, sweet Holy Spirit here fill this place. May we wrap it all around this feeling that we found. And may the sweet, sweet Holy Spirit fill this place. Now, when you heard that song, each and every one of you might have a different idea of what sweet, sweet Holy Spirit is. Somebody may define sweet Holy Spirit as the Christ energy, Jesus energy. Some may define it as Buddha. Some may define it as Mother Nature. Some can define it as just universal love and light. Creator. It could be all kinds of things, and every single one of you are right. Because it's what's in your heart. So, the meditation this morning and Dottie's introduction, really was a lot of the gist of my talk, which is, what is wrong with being different? And my answer is absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. There is nothing wrong with being different. Can you imagine how boring it would be if each and every one of us were exactly the same? What would you talk about? How are you doing today? I'm great. Oh, I know, because I'm great too. Yeah, you're looking good. I know, because I'm looking good too. What else is there? What kind of interest is there? What type of culture is there? And so, but what happens is that there are people who have maybe been raised in environments or in an energy that they were taught that different means bad, that difference means wrong. And so you might be sitting here saying, well, there are people out there that have a different belief system than me, and they're hurting people. Well, those are the people who came from that environment that said that they learned that different is bad. Our place in being spiritual beings is to not say they're wrong, they're bad, they are different, and maybe they have some lessons to learn, that's their lessons. But it doesn't affect our love for them as a part of Creator. They are a part of Creator. They are God. But this is where wars begin. You know, right now we just celebrated the Jewish holiday Purim. And again, it's always a fasting and a celebration and then a feast celebrating, you know, triumph over somebody who tried to kill the Jewish people. You know, there's always something happening. But when you think about the people that are for example, that are the Muslims and the Jews, they think that they're fighting and they're in horrible shape together, but they're really not. It's really the political energy that's creating all of this. And what I'm feeling is that, for example, the temples that were attacked and destroyed, who was it that helped them? It was the people from the mosque down the street. And when the mosques were destroyed and burned, who was it that was helping them? It was the people from the temples. It's the recognition that we all have the right and the energy to believe as we choose. But it's the small little things. This is where bullying starts. You know, when I was a kid, you know, the big tease was, you know, you were fat, Jewish, and wore glasses. Well, guess what? I'm still fat, Jewish, and wore glasses. And oh well, you know, and I found out actually I wasn't fat when I was a kid. That was just somebody's vision of me because I was different from them. They had little teeny tiny twiggy bones. I have medium-sized bones. But I wasn't, you know, I wasn't huge. I just was bigger than them. Did that make me wrong?
No.
Did that make me bad?
No.
Did that make any of them bad or wrong? No, not really. They just didn't understand from that point of view. That was the point of view that they were raised with. So, you know, people pick on you for different little things. I remember a story that my son told me, and I hope he forgives me for telling him this, but I think I've told it, I think, in the past. When he was in high school, he was into drama. He was never into, you know, sports and stuff like that, so it was different. And there was these kids that every day would say to him, after school, this is it, we're going to get you. We are going to get you. And he would come home and he'd say, Mom, I'm so afraid. What can I do? And I said, well, honey, I can't do anything for you. You have to stand up and decide how you're going to deal with this. So being the drama kid that he is, the day came, and the kids came and they pinned him up against the lockers. And he went into this dramatic thing and went, please make me bleed. I love it when you hurt me so much. Please give me, please do this, please. And when they did that, they sat there and they looked at him and they said, wow, you're weird. And they walked away. Embrace your differences. Embrace who you are. You know, I know that everybody has a story like that, you know. You grow up, and so this is what becomes the little nitpicky things of, well, they're wrong. You know, well, they didn't do this right. Well, my mom says, you know, that, you know, this is wrong. I have another friend who told me that she is half Jewish, half Catholic. I've known her for almost 50 years. She moved to an area in Washington, and her neighbors have a very different belief system than hers. And every year, at Christmas time or holiday time, she has stars of David from her father. She puts one on top of her tree, and she puts one on her table, and she invited her neighbors over. Now, she knew her neighbors were different. She knew that they had a different belief system, and she knew what was going on with them. But she still invited them over anyway to share some cheese and crackers and have a holiday celebration. And it was, you know, it was sad because she's been trying to convince me to move up to this area, and I'm thinking I don't know that I want to do that. But at any rate, you know, their son saw one of the Stars of David on the table, and he said, "Oh, what's this?" Well, knowing that they had a very different belief system than her, she said, "Oh, that's one of my Christmas stars." That's right. And he said, "Can I see it?" And the mother said, "I have to see it first." So the mother picked it up, and she threw it on the ground, and she said, "Oh my God, it's the Star of David. Get me to a bathroom where I can wash my hands." That's how war begins, people. By us continuing to make people wrong, by us continuing to fill that hate with more hate. We are not hateful people. Creator did not put us here to be hateful people. Maybe we started off that way in order to learn some lessons. You know, and I could have turned around, and I did tell her, I said, "Well, I'm not sure I want to have neighbors like that," but, you know, but she dealt with it really well. I mean, she did not make them wrong. She didn't throw them out of her house. She didn't create an anger moment. It was more like, wow, that was interesting. But if you think about that, those are the people that are following a philosophy or a belief or something has them convinced that they're harming somebody. Someone who comes from a different country, that speaks a different language. I don't know how many times I've heard people, because I work in a very diverse environment, but I've heard people say, "Well, that person's so stupid, they don't even speak English." Well, duh. They come from a country where English is not their language. They might speak English as a second language, and they're learning it. That doesn't make them stupid. In fact, probably some of them are way more intelligent than other people are. You know, why does your language make a difference? Why does the color of your skin make a difference? You know, these are things that I've never understood my entire life. I've never understood. You know, I did grow up in kind of a lily white neighborhood. We had a few people that were, we had a lot of Hispanic, and we also had, you know, a few people that were Black African American, but very, very few. It was mostly, you know, white middle class. That's just the neighborhood I grew up in. That's where my dad put us. But my high school president named Love Collins, the most beautiful little black dude I ever knew, and all the girls were in love with him. He was gorgeous. And, you know, how do you break things down when it comes to race? You stop looking at the color. Look in their eyes. Look at their smile. Look at the love that they bring. Look at who they are. It's amazing that if I am standing next to somebody, and whether you are from the same country as me, or the same area as me, or your skin is the same color as mine or not, if I cut myself open, my blood is going to be red, and guess what? So is yours. So what's wrong with being different? Being different gives us an opportunity to learn. So many cultures, so many amazing languages that are beautiful, that have beautiful meaning. I've heard things translated that's like, wow, I could never think of those words in English. But when you translate this from your language, your home language, to English, it sounds like a poem. It sounds like a prayer. What's wrong with being different? Nothing. Nothing's wrong with being different. We are all love. We're all God's children, right? I brought a few quotes with me, and then, you know, we are going to close out with the prayer that's in your system. But I actually found this the other day when I was, and I'll read some other quotes, when I was online, and you know how on Facebook you get your memories that come up? And this came up in a memory that I had written. Gosh, sometimes I come up with some really cool stuff. I'm different. But I said, if we're all made in the Creator's image, then Creator is black, white, yellow, brown, red. Creator is gay, straight, trans, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Catholic, Protestant, Buddhist, Wiccan, shaman, and so on. Creator's eyes are round, slanted, small, large, blue, green, brown, In other words, if you look in the mirror, you will be looking at Creator.
Yay.
Hence, Creator's diversity, and you are all one.
Yay.
It's a little bit of a shorter talk today,
Well,
but
I
did you want to
have
miss-
something to
I
add.
have some quotes, but yes, ma'am.
No, I was going to add something after you get finished, okay?
Well, okay. Do you think that she's a little different?
Yes, I do.
And do we honor that difference? We do. I honor each and every one of you. Each and every one of you. I have something to learn from each of you. I love it. Amanda, is our beautiful lady who, she can't see from her eyes, but boy, can she see from her heart. And she can see in her mind's eye. She describes to me the most amazing dreams in the world, and it's just, Amanda, you're amazing, and I love you. And I love each and every one of you for no other reason besides you are part of Creator and the fact that I love you. I honor your differences.
We love you too.
Thank you.
I hope that was a baby bottle or something.
I think it was a phone. I think it was Desmond's phone.
Oh,
But,
no, not mostly on the phone.
watch out, starting so early, Leslie. So here's a few quotes for you. I believe that we can all come together because if we take away the labels, you realize that we're far more alike than we are different.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is we have so much in common. Our differences actually make us stronger. We need to have kindness and respect for one another. That's a quote from Ellen DeGeneres.
From whom?
Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh.
And people are laughing, saying, Ellen's got a bad reputation lately, but I don't know. I look in her eyes and I get that she's sincere, and I get she's had some really bad days like a lot of other people have.
Well, hey, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
That's right. For those who didn't hear that, Ayleen said even a broken clock is right twice a day. And again, we're not going to make her wrong. We're just going to understand that she's had some bad days.
Different.
She's different. Thank you, Mary. I believe that we are here for each other, not against each other. Everything comes from our understanding that you are a gift in my life, whomever you are, whatever our differences. John Denver.
Yay, John.
Yay. I don't know that they're lyrics to any song, but it's definitely, I can quote a million lyrics from, my favorite singer, but I didn't even do that this time, can you imagine? Wow. If we cannot now end our differences, at least we can help make the world safe for diversity. JFK. You can't love your country without loving your countrymen and countrywomen. We don't always have to agree, but we must empower each other. We must find the common ground, and we must build bridges across our differences to pursue common good. Cory Booker. That's what I was saying earlier. We can look at somebody and say, wow, look at what's happening in the political world, look what's happening all over the place. It's wrong that they. And instead of making them wrong, why don't we come from our hearts, have some compassion for where they're coming from, and send that to them. Just like when Lonnie did the prayer last couple weeks ago when we did the prayers for the Ukraine, and she brought in, Putin and said, let's help him to awaken. Let's help him to feel the love that truly is at the base of each and every person. Thank you for that, Lonnie. Being different and thinking differently can make a person unforgettable. History does not remember the forgettable. It honors the unique minority. The majority cannot forget. That's Susie Kassem from Rise Up and Salute the Sun. And here's a quote from somebody that we all know and love. I believe what we focus on expands and makes no difference if it is what we consider good or bad. I believe in the goodness of the human spirit and the love of our Creator. I also know that after every storm, there is a rainbow. Reverend Doti Boon. So Dottie, did you want to say something, or did you want us to do our prayer first?
I want to say something, and then we're going to close with the prayer.
Okay. You got it.
Thank you, Ann.
Reverend Dottie Boon.
Well, I was talking earlier to Ed, and we were talking about various things. And I keep hearing people say, well, Russia's awful, Russia's horrible, they're bad people, and we're good people. Have you ever looked into the Spanish-American War? Have you ever looked into what we did to Mexico? You're living in Mexican land. They were happy having this land until we, the United States, said, no, we're going to take it over.
Don't forget the Native Americans.
Yeah, look at the Native Americans also. We did the same thing in so many different ways. So when you think, oh, I'm a good person because I'm an American, say, America is working. We're a young country.
Yes.
We're one of the youngest countries around as far as a big company. We're just like any young company. We're still stumbling. We're still trying to figure out our way. So it's nice to say, I'm an American. I'm proud to be an American. But don't say America has never done anything wrong. And that's what I keep hearing. And as what Ed had mentioned is we have had more wars than any other major country. Am I quoting you correct? Yeah. So think about that. We're different. We're unique. We love our country. But just like we love our kids, they might not always do what we want them to do. Okay, so just think of that. But I was reminded of a story when Annie was talking. I had a little girl come up to me. I was in a department store, and she walked up to me, and her mother was holding her hand, and she looked at me, and she said, "Why are you so fat?" And the mother goes, what do you do? And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, and I looked at the little girl, and I said, when I was your age, my mommy told me if I kept eating sugar and candy and cake, I was going to look fat. And I would be a fat adult if I didn't stop now. So you listen to your mommy. And she looked over at her mommy and said, "I don't want to be fat." And her mommy said, "Okay." And the mother winked at me and they walked away. And I thought, well, it was a learning experience for both of us, where I wasn't saying I'm bad. I'm just saying this is what I did. And sometimes we forget that we don't have to judge ourselves and make ourselves wrong. We, just as Annie was saying, it's okay to be different.
Can I read the prayer?
Yes. And are you going to lead this prayer, and everybody has one?
Yes.
So please grab your prayer. Annie's going to read it to you. And
You're going to read it with me.
We're going to read it together.
We're going to read it together.
They're going to read
Thank you,
it.
Dottie, for your wonderful. Dottie always has wonderful stories, and nobody has taught me more about the acceptance and the love of diversity than Dottie. And I actually am very lucky that I work for a company that's super diverse. We have this philosophy called Adobe for All, and when they say Adobe for All, they're very proud. I mean, we've had some of our officers come out as being gay, and and just the complete acceptance, which is really wonderful. Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering if we could do, because this is such a lovely prayer, to do it as a call and response so that everyone can be able to participate.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I didn't think of that.
And do I have a copy?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
You got the bigger print.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so everybody, let's just take a nice deep breath in. And let's just start off and say, I live in a wonderful world.
I live in a wonderful world
where everyone accepts and acknowledges everyone else.
where everyone accepts and acknowledges everyone else.
Where fear has melted and love grows in its place.
Where fear has melted and love grows in its place.
Where two-way, honest, open communication exists.
Where two-way, honest, open communication exists.
Where everyone opens their heart to tolerance.
Where everyone opens their heart to tolerance.
And everyone accepts each other.
and everyone accepts each other.
Where joy is epidemic, nurturing and caring are the norm.
Where joy is epidemic, nurturing and caring are the norm.
Where the two-legged and the four-legged live in harmony.
Where the two-legged and four-legged live in harmony.
And where the two-leggeds care for all Earth's living things.
And where the two-leggeds care for all Earth's living things.
Where everyone feels good about themselves.
Where everyone feels good about themselves.
And positive interaction with life is everywhere.
And positive interaction with life is everywhere.
Where we each see the healing spirit in each other.
Where we each see the healing spirit in each other.
Where the flame of love burns in the hearts of everyone.
Where the flame of love burns in the hearts of everyone.
Where all is lush and green, bountiful and clean.
Where all is lush and green, bountiful and clean.
Capable of giving and sustaining life now and for eons to come.
Capable of giving and sustaining life now and for eons to come.
Where all talent and all knowledge is celebrated.
Where all talent and knowledge is celebrated.
Where children and adults can walk down the streets in safety.
Where children and adults can walk down the streets in safety.
Where all is unique and recognizes the sameness.
Where all is unique and recognizes the sameness.
And connection between all life.
And connection between all life.
Where we share goals for the highest and best good of all.
Where we share goals for the highest and best good of all.
Where everything seen and unseen is sacred.
Where everything seen and unseen is sacred.
Where our thoughts, words, and actions
Where our thoughts, words, and actions
reflect our connection and our love of spirit.
reflect our connections and love of spirit.
I live in a wonderful world that is in perfect balance.
I live in a wonderful world that is in perfect balance.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you for Reverend Doti Boon, who wrote this, I don't know how long ago, but it was years ago. And thank you to Jan Ewers, who brought it up for me when I was looking for different sayings about differences. And thank you to each and every one of you for being your beautiful, unique, amazing, wonderful, loving selves. We are that pebble that goes into the water and goes out to all around us, spreading our love. Namaste.
Yay! Right back at you, sister.
And since we have a little bit of time, I would like to hear from you. Anybody have some time that they felt they were made different and how they overcame it? Anybody have a story they would like to share? Yes, Mary.
I grew up in the Midwest, in Minnesota, in a town where everybody was blonde. There were Ericksons, Andersons, Fredsons, every son you can think of. And I was a Caswell, and I had red hair. And anything that went wrong in town, the redhead did it, because I was the redhead, okay? I was the one, and I couldn't get away with anything, and I wasn't the best kid in town, okay? I was kind of creative and came up with interesting things to do. And so I used to hear I'd rather be dead than red in the head.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. And called redheaded woodpecker, and made to feel like I was horrible because of my red hair. I was abused because of it. I literally was attacked and molested because of it. And I think after that, I learned about prejudice in a really interesting way. I moved to East Oakland when I first came out here. We were up on the hill and it was beautiful, and I went to the grocery store and I was told, "We don't like your kind here." And seriously, I just went, "What kind?" I don't know what kind, because I never looked for the differences. And okay, you know, I was the only white person in my neighborhood, but so what? You know, but what kind? And that's kind of it was a way to learn how not to find the differences, to find what was like and to be able to love everybody. Because through being discriminated against, we learn how not to discriminate.
Good for you.
There we go.
Good for you. Thank you, Rosalie, for clapping with us. I appreciate that. Okay, anybody else have something they would like to share? Yes, Sherry. Redheaded.
Redhead, another redhead.
Come here, Judy. Come on, you can.
Oh, you want me up there again? Huh?
Well, it's just they can't hear the audio.
I shouldn't volunteer like this.
Oh, no, of course you should.
Of course you should.
Actually, I went to see Louie Tomlinson.
Get to the mic.
Oh, you did. Yay.
You went where?
You went where?
I went to see Louie Tomlinson, who was a member of One Direction. He's a songwriter. He wrote a lot of the songs that they did, and I'm a writer, so I appreciate that. And it was at the Fox Theater in Oakland. And it was such a wonderful experience. I had such a great time. I was so lucky that the women that were on either side of me were very compassionate, very kind. They included me in the experiences of the day. They talked to me about their lives and what brought them there. And a lot of security people were there, and they kept warning us to keep track of our phones because there were people in the area that could steal the phone and you wouldn't know it, you'd just see a blur. They were so quick. But we didn't experience any of that. We had a woman that came along the line, and she was carrying sacks with bottles of water and chips and crackers and candy, and offering it for free to anybody in line who might need something. And it just went like that all day long. Just so many really wonderful people there. And the concert just blew me away. I tried to be in the pit. I really tried. And if you don't know what the pit is, it's the big area in front of the stage. And they don't put seats there like they used to in my day. Instead, everybody just stands for 4 or 5 hours. And they're very tightly put together in that area. So when I talk about personal space, there is zero personal space. You know, I'm not going to say that. I heard me in my head, and I realized, no, that's not proper to say in church. Anyway, they were very close. And I was there for about 20 minutes before I just couldn't handle it any longer. And I just got claustrophobic. And I'm not very tall, so I couldn't see over anybody, so I couldn't really see the stage much at all. So I crawled out of the pit, literally, made it up some stairs. First usher I saw, I said, I'm claustrophobic, I feel like I'm going to faint. And she brought me over to a section of chairs, and she goes, you can just sit right here. And I was up a level, and I got to sit, and I had a better view of the stage, and it was wonderful. It was such a great concert, and I'm so happy I went. But after 16 hours, because my day started at 7 a.m. and didn't end until almost midnight, I don't think I'll be doing that again. But I'm glad I did it when I did. So I just wanted to say how wonderful everybody was, and what a great time I had.
Yay!
So this isn't necessarily something that happened to me, but something I forgot to mention was my whole life I've always wondered what's wrong with being different. And so I have read books like, at 11 years old, I was reading Black Like Me. And I read the story of Helen Keller. And I read this story about a young man, it was called Follow My Leader, and it was actually a fiction book, but it was about a kid who lost his sight when a firecracker blew up near him, and how he had to learn how to use a guide dog, and how he had to learn how to, exist. And I used to actually walk around, and, with my arm out and my eyes closed, and, and try to figure out what is it like to be this difference. And that's always been what's pulled me and what's attracted me in my life. So I'm very grateful that I've done that, because it's helped lead me to my ministry as well.
Yay! Anybody else? How do you deal with something that you different? Yes, Desmond. Okay, wait just a minute. Yeah, okay, here's Amanda.
We'll have Amanda.
I didn't see you walking up here. There you are, and there's a microphone right here. Put your hand up. Right there. There you
Right
go.
there. So I remember when I was like, so as some of you know, I'm a clairaudient. Well, anyway, I talk out loud to myself. And I was always, as a kid, and I started doing this, I was around 4 or 5. That's when I met my spirit guide. But anyways, I would talk to myself, and still do. And I would get in trouble for it by my parents, and I'd get made fun of. And then I went to a boarding school, and I would get made fun of for doing that. And then my grandma, who was my mom's mom, I went to her house, and I was like, what's wrong with me? I'm very different. Why? I mean, I shouldn't do this anymore. I'm a crazy person. And she's like, no, you're not, Mama. She's like, you're talking to your guardian angel. That's who God wants you to talk to, so don't worry about it.
That's why I got dogs, okay? So we don't look so crazy.
Okay, Desmond, are you going to bring Rosalie up here?
Your turn's up.
Yeah, okay, here she comes.
Yay! Hi, Rosalie.
Hi, Rosalie. Hi, Desmond. Hi, Rosalie.
So typically stuff like this you would talk about like race and stuff like that, but I'm not going to. What I'm going to do is talk about differences in politics. And I'm traditionally a libertarian, and because I believe that everyone should have the same rights. I should have the same rights as everybody else, and that's why I believe in gay marriage and stuff, because why wouldn't you if you're a libertarian? And so I get invited to a lot of very conservative things, and one of my friends is a GOP. Oh, she's good. Oh. One of my best friends is a consultant for the GOP, so he invites me to a lot of different things. And I went to this barbecue at this police bar in Salinas, and of course they're giving me a hard time about some of the ways that I think about things. And one of the gentlemen there is a state House of Representatives guy from California State Representative or something. And him and I got into this big, long discussion. And we went about everything from civil rights to the economy to homelessness. We just went over everything. But I was amazed at what actually got him really so upset he actually cursed at me. He was just like, F you, and kind of thing, was when I brought up inclusion. And it wasn't anything else that I said about anything else, but it was just about inclusion, the fact that people should be included, no matter their background. And it went really well with what Reverend Ann said this morning about being different and being included. And it just got him so fired up that this professional politician went to like curse words. And it was just so amazing to me that that's how deep embedded that belief was in him. And I didn't have any harsh feeling for him. We continued our discussion after that and stuff like that, and I was really cordial and stuff. They even invited me back yesterday. They wanted me to come back for a barbecue kind of thing. But it was just one of those things that I'm just like, how can we be so far apart on something so simple as, hey, shouldn't everybody be on like the same. And so that was, and I've always had this thing in me that maybe I'm in those places and in those spots, because very often in my life I've been the darkest person in the room my entire life. Maybe I'm in those spots to hopefully say, hey, we are the same kind of thing. Sometimes that belief has really been challenged in my mind. But yeah, just the fact that that was such a visceral response from him was just
Shocking.
Yeah, it was shocking. But I wasn't mad at him for it.
Good. Yay. Good.
I wasn't mad at him. I was just like, hey, you should consider this. That's all I'm saying.
When are you going to talk to us? What about libertarianism?
Oh.
We've got openings. We'd love to have you
Love to put you on the spot.
Yeah, politics and religion.
The spiritual side of libertarianism.
I'm not sure there is.
Anything that includes people, we want to hear about. Thank you so very much. This has been wonderful. It's time to pass the basket. And I want to thank you all for joining us. I've never thought of a church where we could just open it up and let you folks talk. But I think we've learned so much. Here comes Rosalie.
And if you have nothing, if you're not going to be putting anything physical into the basket, just place your hand over the basket and put in a blessing, put in a good thought.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like you all to just, we've had you breathe today. It seems like before we do anything, we say take another nice deep breath. So let's just do that. Let's just take another nice deep breath. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yes, it is.
And it's a wonderful time to be alive. Keep sending out prayers to all of those you feel needs the Creator to be present, first, foremost, and present in their lives. And just like I mentioned last week, each one of you may be a drop of water, but if you all pray, we can create a complete storm of good health, good energy, and good work that's being done in the world. Remember to accept other people and forgive them, and forgive yourself if your heart isn't in it. Thank you so very much. Have a beautiful day. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Ayleen.
And Rosalie, as soon as she saw the basket, she put both hands into the basket to do a blessing.
She brought us a prayer and
Yeah, and she was even up here at the podium, you know, our youngest person at the podium. Thank you so much for bringing her. I know every once in a while you try and keep her quiet, or you're trying to, she's perfect just the way she is. She has the joy of childhood that we all wish we had. So know that she is always welcome, as each and every one of you are. Okay. And don't forget, there's coffee in the back. There's free goodies right there on the tables. Please take them home. Gabrielle brings these here for us to take home so she doesn't have to figure out what to do with them. Okay? And if there's somebody here you don't know, introduce yourself. Okay.